So in today's video, I'm going to be walking you through another wonderful voice leading exercise you can do with closed position triads. This one focuses on descending through the circle of fourths. So it's the same thing. We're going to take the 7 chords of any key and we're going to work through them in a way that is nice, sounds good, and is important in this way in contrast to the video that I did last week. It is descending rather than ascending. So if you missed that last video, feel free to go check it out. But just to catch you back up to speed, what we're going to do in this exercise is we're going to diatonically cycle through the cycle of fourths. So in the key of C major is what all these diagrams are, and there'll be nice tabs popping up in this part of the screen to help you follow along what I'm doing. You can download those for free from my website, where I also have it notated in standard notation if you're feeling nerdy or if you read music better than you read tab. But we're going to take the 7 chords that are present in the C major scale and we're going to move around them in fourths. So C, F, B, E, A, D, G. Now obviously we're going to attach the relevant majors and minors and I'm going to walk you through it. But if you don't know what voice leading is, or if you're unsure of what voice leading is just the practice of moving between these chords as smoothly as possible. So when you go through these chords, for example, if I were to play C, F, E, C, F, B, E, and I went, and I'm just playing major chords there, let me make it correct. So if I did C, F, B diminished, that's fine, I'm playing the chords, but they're not moving smoothly. Whereas if I were to voice lead this, it would sound more like this, which is a lot smoother, because in this, all of my voices are moving as close together as possible, rather than here it's kind of jackrabbiting between quite big registers, really. So let's dive in and we'll look at it starting from a root position chord. So to voice lead, we need to follow rules for this exercise. And this first rule is that it's actually quite simple. The chords that we play are going to go from root position. The next one would be a third and bass. The next one would be a fifth and bass, and then we just keep repeating that until we make it through the whole cycle. So, to recap, root position goes to a third and bass chord, goes to a fifth and bass chord, then it goes to a root position chord, to a third and bass chord, to a fifth and bass chord, and we just keep repeating through that cycle. But let's start all the way up here at our 10th fret. This is a C chord here, and I'm on the sets D, G, and B. If you aren't familiar with your closed position triad shapes all across the neck, I have a bunch of other videos on my channel, and I also have some free diagrams from those videos available for download from my website as well. Link to that in the description. But we'd start up at this C major. Now I need to find an F with the third and bass, so I'm going to go to this F chord here. This is going to fall to a B diminished over F triad, which now will fall to an E minor triad, root position, which will fall to an A minor over C triad, which will fall to a D minor over A triad, which will then fall to a G major triad. And I'm kind of cheating here because I'm playing an open string where a finger could be, but we're going to do it. And then here, to wrap this one off in this particular key of C, I need to cheat a little bit, and we go from a root position chord to a fifth and bass chord, just because the C over E that I should be playing down here is technically not possible because we run out of frets. So I've noted that on the tab below, so that if we were to strictly follow it and we had 2 more frets, we would actually play a C over E there. But we can't do that because we don't have enough frets back there. So that's the cycle for going down, and then I would always say what goes down must come up, so I would rehearse it back again the other way, where we would get C over G to D minor over A, which is then going to go to A minor over C, which then goes to E minor root position, B diminished over F, F over A, B diminished over F, F over A, and then we're back up at C. So this is a little bit wider of a voice leading. It's hard to voice lead these ones quite as smoothly. You'll notice a lot of these notes, 2 of them will fall by thirds and 1 of them will fall by a second, is kind of the way that these work. So these are bigger intervals than if you saw my other video on ascending ones. But again, it's still voice leading. There aren't as many super specific rules to voice leading as you would think. You're just trying to string things together so that all the voices move as smoothly as possible. So okay, that was root position chords. Now let's take a look at what it would look like if we started from a third and bass chord. Now these third and bass chords move the exact same way. The rule is the same, but now it starts from third and bass, goes to fifth and bass, and then goes to root position. So it's just like we're offsetting this by one. So if I was to start on a C over E, I'm going to start way up here on my G, B, and E strings, and I'm going to play C over E. Now third and bass goes to fifth and bass, so that will end up on an F over C chord, which will then end up on a root position B diminished chord. Now this is going to fall to a third and bass, E minor over G, which will then fall to A minor over E, a fifth and bass chord. Then root position, D minor. Then we're going to end up on a G over B, and then we end up down on C over G at our end. Now tracing that back up, we had C over G, we had G over B, sorry for the buzz. We're going to get D minor, root position, which then is going to jump to A minor over E, which will jump to E minor over G. We will get B diminished in root position, F major over C, and then C major over E. Okay, now that we have our third and bass is covered, let's dive on to starting from a fifth and bass, and for this we're going to start way up the neck. And I have 12, 13, 12 up here. This is C over G, and then this rule is again just like we pushed one further down the line, so now this goes fifth and bass to root position to third and bass. So if I go from this C over G, I'm going to land on an F major in root position. This will then fall to a B diminished over D, which is going to look like this. We're going to get E minor over B, so we're looking like this. Jump up to this string, set of strings. E minor over B. Now this is going to fall to a root position chord. So now we will get A minor in root position, which is going to fall to D minor over F, which I'm going to grab here. I'm going to go to G over D, so fifth and bass chord, and that's going to end up here. Now if I backtrack that, I've got root, C major, G major over D, which is then going to go to D minor over F, which will then go to A minor, root position, which is going to go to E minor over B. Now we get B diminished over D. Now we get F root position, and then we're going to get C over G, back where we started. So if you were to move this into any other key, and you can move it to any other key, you're going to be using the same triad shapes, they're just going to be over different roots. And the way that you would do it is, again, you just follow these rules. So it will go root to fifth and bass, or sorry, root to third and bass to fifth and bass, or any permutation of that. And again, with voice leading, sometimes my students will think that it's the only way to do things. It is not the only way to do things. It is one way to do things, and it's beautiful. Root motion is great too. So is voice leading. It's just an effect that you want to have control over, and the point of these exercises is to give you some practice working your way through some of these chords so that some of them might come a little bit quicker to you and a little bit so you just have more tools at your disposal basically for when you're actually playing music. So voice leading is not something that you absolutely have to do all the time, every day, only do voice leading. It's totally cool if you work around whatever it may be. But I just wanted to kind of share this information because it's a nice kind of smooth way to go through it. And some of my students, I've done a video on voice leading triads before, but some of you guys were asking me to give you something that's a little bit more methodical and, by the book. So ask and you shall receive. Here's some more stuff that's by the book. I'm going to think about some other cool lessons and ways that I can give you ways to practice voice leading. But again, what I would think of this as is you're practicing a beautiful musical texture, which is where you're consciously trying to make all of your voices in your chords move smoothly from one to the other. And it also gives you a great way to keep working on your triads and make sure that you know them, which is always good. Because harmonized major scales are awesome, but so is voice leading. And any time you can put something that you already know into a new context, you'll go a little deeper in it and learn a little bit more. But hopefully you enjoyed this lesson. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. It really helps me out more than you could know. If you wanted to take a guitar lesson with me, there's a link to get in touch with me down in the description. I'd love to work with you on whatever's troubling you on the guitar. I've been working with a bunch of you guys from YouTube, and it's been super fun to connect with people all over the world. If you want to support me in the free videos I put out on this channel, you could join my Patreon.